imagine that you are the Salim Javed of your own script and you are the actor as well. So once you understand that the script writer is you, the hero or the villain is you, and everyone around you are the roles that you have written and allocated to them. So where is the problem? Hello, everybody. Welcome and welcome to a very basic topic. But let's see. We are going to, as usual, make the most of even the simplest of topics because I'm a great believer that it's all in the basics. Most of the students and most of even the great astrologers, they run around the complex part of it. Frankly speaking, I try to make the simpler things even simple to understand, and that in a way helps us to understand the advanced topics much more easier, purely because our basics were very correct. And one of the basics is understanding the houses, because I have seen 90% of the time people get confused when an event happens in terms of which house to understand the event from. And they say it's all in the basics. So till the time you haven't understood the graha which has impacted an event and a house which has impacted an event, or the nakshatra for that matter has which has impacted an event, how do you learn Jyotish ahead? Or how can you call yourself as a good astrologer? Okay. For example, 99% of the people, when you ask them that if it's a marriage issue, what do you look at? And 99% or 90% of the astrologers would say it's a seventh house problem. But I always look forward for the reasoning of why the breakup is happening, because the breakup happens in the eighth house technically, right? Because eighth house is the sustaining house. So if you are not able to sustain a relationship, marriage, or finances, whatever you call it, that's the reason the problem is coming from. Okay. And if it's a problem where somebody else is also involved in that, it's like a triangle thing, then the sixth lord becomes very important. Why? Because the sixth lord is the house of the enemy, and that's why when sixth lord is in the seventh house, there can be a problem in relationship, because that enemy has entered the relationship quadrant. You understand? So, or let's say somebody might say that, I'm not able to sort of get that connect with my spouse anymore, or I feel that we have fallen apart, or we think differently, or we are in a different page, or sometimes people are in different servers altogether. Forget about being in the same page or a different page. Why? Because one of the partner has grown over a period of time, and that becomes a sort of a problem, because uh, the other partner is not able to understand, or the same couple or the same relationship where the couple used to have hours and hours of conversation, sometimes spend times till morning 6 a.m., 7 a.m., just talking, laughing, watching movies, probably having a glass of wine. That same couple now, after 4 years of marriage, cannot even spare each other for 5 minutes. So, what has happened? Is it a seventh house issue, or is it an eighth house issue, or is it a fourth house issue? Because the fourth house is also so important, and I'm going to talk about it a little, just to shake you up a little. I love doing this on and off. I like to give a different perspective about the same thing. Yeah. So let us start with a very interesting topic, and we are going to talk about the houses in a horoscope. And initially, in this first part, we are going to talk about houses 1 to 6. you know and we are going to do it very calmly, very properly, no hurry. The important point is to learn with a method, and once we have the method in place, then learning becomes very exciting, isn't it? Learning should never be a pressure. If you are having pressure while learning, frankly speaking, there is a problem either with the knowledge itself, or there is a problem with the mentor itself, or frankly speaking, you are in the wrong place. you know the idea of learning is you should be excited like a child. You see the child over here? That is the whole process of learning. You should be excited. You should look forward. If a session is cancelled, you should feel, oh my goodness, why did this happen? I was so looking forward to learning. And that is the mark of a good student. And that is what we are going to grow towards, right? We are all students at the end of the day. Someone is a little ahead, someone is a little behind, somebody is probably starting from today. How does it matter? At the end of the day, it's a knowledge is an ocean. Start swimming. Yeah. So what we are going to do and what do expect from the session? I use this word expectation because based on my Hewlett Packard background, you know, and being a project manager, I always believed in that concept of setting expectations. So I used to always have my first meeting with a client and used to tell them exactly what we are going to do in the project, what are the integrations we are going to do. And I always found that my clients loved me as a project manager as well, because I was very clear. I didn't give them fake sort of expectations that, once this project is over, you'll be able to see the moon and the stars and you'll be able to talk to Brihaspati and all those things. I never did that. So I was the odd guy out who was very truthful to them. Generally, the project managers are not, because it's part of their game to actually upsell and all those things. But then I was always different. Yeah. So what we expect from today's thing is, what is a house in a horoscope, right? We loosely, skip this topic. Even the most advanced astrologers, they feel that, hey, this is a topic which is so common, like, you can listen to a YouTube video, there's so much of content, just Google it out. Hence, there are very few who have actually put in an effort to actually teach this sort of a thing in today's time and give a very logical explanation and understanding of houses, something, which will stick to your mind and which will be very, very strongly imprinted in your memory. Okay, so we are going to understand the concept of house. Secondly, why are we having only 12 houses? Why not 13? Why not 14? Frankly speaking, that's more of a math part of it, but yet I'll give you some sort of hints into it. We will be talking more when I do a special class on Surya. That is when I'll be talking more in terms of why only 12 houses, etc. And then let's learn the houses from first to sixth house, and we'll be talking it in detail. Okay, so fasten your seat belts and we are going to start off now. Generally, I like to think in today's time. So what is a house in a horoscope? Generally, I always give this analogy or this comparison, that imagine your horoscope to be like a script of a film, right? So when you want to make a film, you have a script which is written, and the script writer is then going to sell it to a director or a producer, and then the actors are going to live that script. Okay, and based on that, there'll be some hero, some villain, some sort of a mid sort of a thing. There'll be some twist and turns, there'll be climax, there'll be thriller, there'll be action, there'll be drama, there'll be everything is there in the script, right? So I always tell everybody that imagine your horoscope is the script. And who is the script writer? It is you yourself. And I always jokingly tell, especially the Indians among you will understand, there is a great writer called Salim Javed, right? And I always say that imagine that you are the Salim Javed of your own script, and you are the actor as well. So once you understand that the script writer is you, the hero or the villain is you, and everyone around you are the roles that you have written and allocated to them. So where is the problem? See, that's why they say that Vedanga Jyotish actually helps you become spiritual. It is not like Western astrology, or it is not that typical astrology where you only are talking about whether the gold prices will go up or down, whether you should buy the shares of Reliance, or is it selling time? Shall we buy Glaxo, or is it the pharma shares are good or no? That is a sort of a predictive astrology. And I've got no problem with those things. Okay. The only problem is that when we call that as Vedanga Jyotish, that is not taking us spiritually any higher. The roots of Vedanga Jyotish lays on the basic foundation that this knowledge has to make you spiritual, has to make you a reasonable person or at least in the worst case, a bearable person. Because 90% of the time, frankly speaking, we do things where other people can't bear us. And that's where the whole conflict starts. And the root of the conflict is that, we are not ready to accept that we are the script writers. And the day we accept that part of it, we will try and sort of start accepting things around us, or start accepting the fact that, hey, that person is doing this to me because probably I might have done something bad to them. So it's more like, a payback time. And if I can take that payback time in a very positive spirit and look at the reaction to a situation differently, then probably my kriyaman karma is going to be great as well. So here you see there is a paradigm shift. It is the same situation where you can pick up the phone or call up your legal advisor and put in a case or an FIR, or really take that person to the courts or thrash them badly, or in the worst case, call them up and feel little lighter. But the fact of the matter is you have also taken the karma and it is not ending. So now that you understand Jyotish, one thing that you understand, that hey, on the right hand side, all the codes which are there are all written by you. They are all programmed by you. And at various stages of our life, those people pop up in our life, or those situations pop up in our life, or those twists and turns pop up in our life. And 90% of the time, what do? We fail. We fail the test of the promise that we had given to Brahma, that I am going to ensure that I am going to live my Atmakaraka very peacefully. We are already born because of a problem, right? We are also born because of a curse or a Shadripu, whatever you call it. And if we are going to go through that grind, and if we are not able to face that sort of a situation in a very, very ethical manner, then there is a deep problem where we should not announce ourselves as a Jyotishi or a Vedic astrologer. See, this is a thought which I want you to take it very seriously for this week, right? We all have wronged many people, and a lot of people wrong us as well. But at the end of it, we are seeing everything from our paradigm. We are seeing everything from our lagna. The good and bad is purely based on our viveka, without understanding that hey, we could be bad in somebody else's book as well. So again, that if you dive deeper, it's a very, very spiritual topic. That's the reason the great Kabir said that बुरा देखन चला मैं, बुरा ना मिला कोई. जहां भी देखा मैंने, मुझसे बुरा ना कोई. Which in English means that hey, I tried to find somebody who is actually bad, but when I looked around and I looked within me, I found that there is nobody more bad than me. And that is a very, very sort of a right approach to actually look at if you want to move towards moksha. Now, a lot of people talk about moksha, a lot of people talk about final emancipation, a lot of people feel that moksha is something that you can go to Amazon and buy it. The fact of the matter is, moksha cannot be bought over Amazon, because the problem is that Shani Maharaj doesn't get corrupt. It is not easy. You cannot use that Damaniti. You can't buy out that Shani, because he goes purely on that file which has come to him. If the file has a wrong notation, you are gone. He is least interested. And if the file has a positive recommendation, then he is going to go through the file as well. So it is very important to understand that first and foremost, the script is your complete horoscope. And all the 16 divisional charts are having twists and turns, and the houses in those divisional charts as well as the Rashi chart are nothing but the subplots of the script. So you can say your horoscope is the script, but pre-interval or after interval, or the first reel or the last reel, you can say that the bifurcation is in the houses. And that is how you can understand is how the life is going to move. And depending on the yogas, depending on the karmas, The film is either a thriller, a suspense, or unfortunately sometimes a horror movie where the soul is his soul is going through a lot. And frankly speaking, there are some horoscope. Frankly speaking, it's a really tough time for them, and you can only take feel very lucky that things are much better, or probably there are some yogas which have been sustaining you for a long time. So what I mean to say is, understand that the houses in the horoscope, or the 12 houses in the horoscope, are nothing but the subplots of the script. And depending on the star cast, films, and the experience, etc., we go through the grinding. Either it is a thriller from the first reel, or the problem or the thrill starts after the interval, or the half of the life is gone. And sometimes if it's a documentary, then it's a 40-minute documentary, which means that there is an apamrityu, we might probably die early. So these are the things which I think, obviously, you don't need to blindly follow. But what I mean to say is, let's say we're taking one vertical as an example. You can work out a horoscope, houses, scripts, death into various forms and give it, and you can make a mind mapping. This is the one concept that I showed you. But can we do it in a very different sort of a way? Absolutely. You know, you start thinking about it. And that is what I want you to do. Challenge yourself, make that head, a little bigger, Ultimately, it has to reach the level of Ganesha, that elephant head, which has to have a memory or an ability to soak every knowledge and digest very easily. Okay, so what we are going to do is, in simple terms, a house can end up giving or taking everything and give stress. Okay, now this is something which is very well known, and I always tell people that the problem with us human being is that we run after things which are not in our sort of destiny, and we sort of don't give importance to the things that we already have. Okay, for example, if a person has the first and foremost, the person will run after a very average looking girl or a guy. Okay, then even after they get married to probably the most handsome or the most beautiful lady, you know after a couple of years, they are again, in search of somebody else. But you already have something that you wanted. You understand? Or let us look at a situation where somebody has, let's say, a problem, in terms of, let's say they are not very healthy, or let's say they are obese. Little, I wouldn't say very obese, but I would say are little overweight. But then they have a lot of other things which are going on fine. I tell this especially in the context of women, because they become very conscious with the weight and external appearance and all those things. But then the same women, I'm telling this from experience because I meet many clients day in and day out. But that same lady has got a wonderful husband, has got two super kids, one daughter, one son, a husband who is financially well off. She has a good job. But every time the problem is the same. Hey, how do I reduce my weight? I feel I'm a little overweight. And in that whole life, you know, she couldn't understand what was good with her, till the time suddenly things go wrong, and probably the husband wants to sort of proceed for a divorce or something like that. At that point of time, the realization comes that, hey, I had the best of the husband for last 40 years, and what happened suddenly in my life? And now she doesn't want the health anything. Now what she wants is that husband back, which was always there, but she never understood. Now I'm giving you an example. What I mean to say is, some hard facts I've written there, that in a human life there will be some pain areas of life. Now whether you accept it or you keep running after it is something which is your call, frankly speaking. Yeah, there are a lot of people who marry late, or sometimes they cannot marry, or sometimes a child is not in their destiny. um, uh, and then we do try, but there has to be a cutoff sort of a date or a cutoff thing where they would be able to accept the destiny and live the horoscope and understand the things which are good for them. And 90% of the time, don't you feel, if you do a fair analysis, you will agree with me that the problem with human being is we are always running after that one thing which is not there. As the great Javed Akhtar has said, that हर घर में सिर्फ एक हर दिल में सिर्फ एक उम्मीद कम है, हर घर में सिर्फ एक कमरा कम है, which means that in every heart there is only one unfulfilled wish, and in every house there is only one room which is less, which means that we human beings have always a problem, or we always find problems. If you have a nice sort of two-bedroom house, then you'll feel that, hey, I need a three-bedroom. Once you have a three-bedroom, you feel that, hey, I needed a four-bedroom. Once you have a four-bedroom, hey, four-bedroom is good, but how about a villa with a garden? Once you have that, you need a sea-facing villa. So what I mean to say is, one way of looking at it is that, yes, you have to challenge yourself. You need to actually raise the bar higher. That is also right. I take that argument as well. But then at the same time, as long as you are also enjoying what you have at this point of time and having the gratitude to understand what God has given you, I'm okay with it. But the problem is, when we have it, we don't sort of enjoy it, or we don't accept it, or we don't have the gratitude for it. And the classic example is all those Facebook stories. I'll tell you a simple example of my own story, where nowadays Facebook says that 5-year-old photo or 6-year-old photo. And I was pretty sort of slim back then, probably 10, 12 kgs less. And now I want to become that guy. But when I look myself 5 years back, probably I was thinking that, hey, I need to reduce 10 kgs more. I need to become that exact Hrithik Roshan. But that didn't happen. And now I'm okay with actually that guy, who was actually wanting to become Hrithik Roshan. Forget Hrithik Roshan, please at least give me that back. And isn't that a story with each one of you? That after 5 years, 6 years, we are okay with actually what we had before. So what has happened is that we are not ready to accept the certain houses which are actually not destined, or where there is huge karma. There will always be some houses which are doomed, so to say. Sometimes doomed, sometimes high karma, sometimes challenges. Now depending, so sometimes it is bad if karma is concentrated in just one house, then particularly that house is completely defunct. And at times, those karmas are spread across 2 3 houses. In that cases, what happens is, you have a little problem there, little problem here, little bit of work issues, little bit of health issues, but no one issue is so high where your life stops. So lucky are those people that where there is not one house where all the problems are there. Or sometimes there are really spiritual people who understand that, hey, it's okay, I'm never going to get married, or I'm not going to have kids, or probably my health is down, and they understand that as a part of the life, and they don't stop living life. And that is what I mean to say by this first slide, where you need to understand that horoscope and the houses are nothing but your karmic distribution. Probably I don't want to talk about the nakshatras, etc., because it will confuse you at this stage. But what I mean to say is, understand that they are divided into the reels. So let's say if it's a 60-minute movie, there is a 5 minute for each houses, where you are going to go through all the 12 houses, 12 into 5 minutes, 60 minutes, and that is going to actually give you the event of your life. But does it move in the straight manner? We are not sure. That depends on the director. that depends on the producer, that depends on the script writer, and the twists are more or less caused in a Jyotish sense by the dashas or the periods that we are going through. So that dasha is going to say whether we are going to initially the lagna, or we are starting the movie from the third house, or whether we are starting from the sixth house, you know. Likewise, I want you to start understanding that the whole horoscope is nothing but your own script. So let us find out a way to live that horoscope with lot of integrity, lot of class. So tomorrow when we are dead and gone, when God looks at us, he is going to clap his hands. Well done. Rather than, giving that sort of a smug and telling us that, you had a great opportunity. You are a human being. You are a human soul. Couldn't you do even one mantra? Couldn't you even do Om Namah Shivaya or Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya or Ave Maria or Namaz, whatever is your faith? What were you doing for 24 hours? I'm not interested in the Lamborghini that you have made. I'm not interested in those fantastic villas that you have. I'm not interested in anything else. The only balance that is important for me is not the bank balance, but the karmic balance. So have you reduced that or have you increased that? And if you have increased that, is it the positive karmas or is it the negative karma? Based on which I can give you the next birth as a human birth, or do I sort of be disappointed and say that, hey, you're not worth a human being birth? Okay. So I wanted you to sort of think a little more into it, and always understand that the solution to every problem in your horoscope is you and nothing else. And only you can change that situation. Sometimes the problem is that we expect other people to change. Now, if they are supposed to change based on their horoscope, it is fine. But the fact of the matter is, we need to plan based on our horoscope. Why would we sort of depend on other people rather than activating our own yogas or understanding what is the good and bad in our horoscope and sort of moving ahead in life? And the houses where you have good yogas gives us that opportunity to move on with our life. It is like, you have to turn the page, right? Sometimes we are stuck on the same page, especially in matters of relationship. You have an abusive husband, you have a unfaithful wife, whatever it is, make a call, make a decision, move on. Don't wait for 30 years and just for those social media posts that, oh, we completed 30 years of marriage, when you haven't been talking for 20 years. You understand? Sorry if I'm being very, very straightforward, but this is what is my experience talking. And you need to see what are the greener pastures in your horoscope and tick mark those houses. Those are the houses in which you are going to live. The other houses are places where you really need an oxygen cylinder because you are feeling suffocated. You just want to get out of it. Sometimes, we are in those houses for a long, long time and we are feeling suffocated. And once when we go out of those houses, we feel very liberated. Are we clear? I have taken this to a different level. I'm sure that a lot of you might heard a different perspective about it, but still, I think that you guys need to learn and get a little better perspective of what a horoscope is. Horoscope is not to pinpoint that, hey, in my horoscope, this is bad. That means you are bad. No, he is bad because there are some karmas that you have done to him or her, as a result of which that person is a little strange to you. Now that is spirituality. That is something which is going to take you to the next level. That is going to make you spiritual person. And more importantly, that is good for you. Forget about even spirituality, even in terms of a practical life. Because sometimes letting go is the toughest decision that you need to make. Be it anger, be it financial losses, or be it relationship losses, whatever it is. Sometimes we can't let that go, and that is a root problem. Okay, so I've given you sort of a nice basic in terms of understanding of what is a horoscope and what is the horoscope houses. Okay, nothing but subplots of the script and finer details of the good and bad that's going to happen. Okay, so now we are going to move to the other part of it. And now we are going to talk about Lagna. Okay, and the first thing that I wanted to talk about Lagna, over on the right hand side, if you see that this is like a brain being constructed by few people over here, right? It is more like a construction of a brain, right? And that is exactly what Lagna is all about. It is your ability to think, power of discrimination. Okay, uh, there is a very beautiful word in Sanskrit which we call it as Viveka. Okay, uh, Viveka doesn't just mean intelligence. See, intelligence means आप बहुत चतुर है या you can use those words. But Viveka is your ability to actually discriminate what is the good and the bad, and that is what your Lagna tells you to do. It's more like your first reaction to any problem that comes to you or anything that comes to you. You know, for example, there is an Indian cricketer who just retired the other day. His name is Mahendra Singh Dhoni, and Dhoni was always called as Captain Cool. Why? Because for even the most tense situations, or me whenever even we as spectators were very tense in terms of, oh my goodness, I think we'll lose this match. Oh, India didn't play good. This guy used to be very, very chilled out, and there is absolutely nothing that you can see in his face. He will change the things, he will bring the bowlers, he will do something, and finally India used to win. Whereas there might be somebody else, like let's say a Virat Kohli, you know he will go to the opposition and he will swear at them. you know in a way, he's not going to he's going to go to the enemy's camp, and he's going to attack the camp. Whereas Mahendra Singh Dhoni will take the attack, plan his strategy, and then there will be a counter attack. So there is a stark difference between how the Lagna of a Mahendra Singh Dhoni operates at a completely different level compared to a Virat Kohli, who actually is quite an aggressive guy on the field. You understand? And this examples might be there in various sort of fields, but what I mean to say, and the comparison or your attention was that your Lagna is something which is your head, right? All the houses are technically associated with body parts also. Okay, and Lagna is technically your head, and hence it is called as your power of discrimination. It also shows how intelligent you are, or let us put it that way, that it is your first response to a situation, whether you are an aggressive guy, whether you are calm, or whether you're absolutely stupid. you know I've so I've seen sometimes, uh, like I know a few clients of mine, where I can see the horoscope, and just by looking at the social media, etc., and I can see that probably the staff he is having is actually taking a lot of money from him, or probably the wife has not been faithful, or husband is not faithful, and the whole world can see that except for that person. So what happens is the Lagna is almost frozen, Lagna is almost defunct. And finally, when the event happens, the whole friend circle says that, oh, we always knew that she was not the right person, or we knew that he was not the right person for you. What happened to you? Why did you say yes to me? Did you not see that day he was saying this? Did you not see that guy was doing this? And that other person is like, hey, I didn't see it actually. So what happened is the Lagna was almost frozen. So there might be certain people who might have a problem because their lagnas are frozen, or Lagnesh goes into the Badhaka. That means, whenever they think something, they always think of opposite of actually what is the right way of thinking. And we can't help them. We can definitely help them with remedies, but till they don't come, their ability to think is always negative. And then there are certain people whose ability to think is always positive. So this one house and the lord of that house becomes so important while analyzing a horoscope or understanding a trait of a human being, that we need to put a special onus on this particular house. We need to also understand that everybody doesn't have the same lagna, right? So that means that lagna has been a very very important consideration for Brahma to give you that birth. That based on all the calculations that he has done, you have to be born on that lagna. You cannot be born in any other lagna, otherwise his calculation is going to go wrong. So your lagna is also your spirit, how you live, and your ability to think. Generally, I always tell that your first reaction to a situation, whether you are a negative person, whether you're a positive person, whether you're a calm person, you're an aggressive person, whether you are liked, whether you are disliked, all those things, your taste, is also from lagna. Why? Because see, fifth house is your tongue, you know and the ninth therefrom is the lagna, which is your taste. The ninth house is always seen for dharma. We'll be talking about it a little later on in the probably second week. But it is more important to understand that the ninth house from every house is the dharma of that house. So ninth from lagna, which is the ninth house, becomes your house of dharma, your prayers. Whereas the ninth from the fifth house is your lagna. So if this is the tongue, then the taste is from the lagna. So planets in lagna have a huge impact on what you like to consume, what you like to eat. You understand? So that's why it is said that when Guru is in lagna, then the person likes sweets a lot. And I'm a classic case of that. If you have a more Agni planet, then you will like the spicy food. I have an exalted Surya there. I love the spicy food as well, to the level where other people can't eat. They say, how can you eat this much? And I feel it's very normal. You understand? So the planets in Lagna are also having a direct connection with, frankly speaking, what you like eating, though the food is in the second house. Okay, so that is very important. It is a very, very important because it is the root to your creation. Okay, and everybody has a very, very different lagna. No two lagnas can, frankly speaking, match. Why? Because the planets are different, the lordships are different, they have gone into the other houses, the arudas are different, the trinal arudas are different. So to that extent, everybody has a different sort of a DNA, or everybody has a different way to think and react in different facets of life. Okay, and this is right, or this is true for every lagna, even in the divisional charts. Okay, and the lagna in every divisional charts is you. Always remember that. For example, when you look at the Navamsha chart, then the lagna in the Navamsha chart is you, not your spouse. The lagna in your Dashamsha chart is you at work, not your boss. Okay, so this is something which you need to understand. It is your seat of intelligence. See, lagna is very important to decipher whether a person is intelligent or no, especially depending on which planets are there and what are the planets aspecting the lagna. Okay, especially the intelligent planets which are there, probably Jupiter, Surya, or the nodes, Rahu or Ketu. You should know that even the nodes are said to be very intelligent. Okay, so those planets, if they have an aspect on lagna, or if they are in the lagna, then to that level they increase your ability to think, they increase your ability to make good judgments on life. But then there could be little slip as well. For example, if Ketu is in Lagna, definitely you will make mistakes in judgment. But at the same time, it is intelligent planet also, which means that you will be able to understand the error at some stage of life, and then you will change it. Okay, so that those ways you have to understand. It is your likings and change. It is also your character, and it is also your integrity per se. Especially we look at the avastha, or especially we look at the position of Lagnesh, and we decide whether the person has got ethics or no. Especially when Lagnesh has an exalted planet, or Lagna has got exalted planet, to that level it helps the person to grow in their integrity. The person is a very what do you say, cultured person. The person is a man of his words, or a woman of his words, or the native has got very good culture or work culture, or generally the way he deals with the people is with high integrity, and that is associated with the Lagnesh and Lagna both. Okay, it is also associated with fame, something which I have not written here, but your fame is also seen from the Lagna, because Lagna is your head, right? And generally, when we talk about fame, it is associated with your face, right? When we talk about Donald Trump, whether we like him or we don't like him, but his face will immediately come to our mind. A Bill Clinton, whether we like him, we don't like him, we might talk about his affairs or whatever it is, but still, we have that tall guy, with pink cheeks and a very, very good looking president. So, what I mean to say is your Lagna has a lot to do with your fame. And if the Lagna Lord is in Lagna, or if Lagna Lord is aspecting the Lagna, to that level you can be famous, or people will at least recognize you. If I'm going to generally say, hey, what do you feel about Monty Singh, my driver? And you all will be blank. First and foremost, you are going to think that, hey, who is Monty Singh? Oh, he's a driver, so maybe he will be driving the car. But we have no other way of knowing Monty Singh. Why? Because his face is not something which is famous and you don't know about him. So now are you able to understand that how important your Lagna is and how important the Karakas are? Because the Lagna Karaka is Surya. We are going to talk about it day after tomorrow, probably Thursday we'll be talking about it. But it is very important for us to understand that the Surya, which is the rising sun, has chose Lagna to be the Karaka of. So we need to understand that Lagna becomes so important because it is in a way, along with your Atma Karaka, give you the purpose of your life. What is going to bring you fame? At what age you are going to become famous? Do you have what is the reason for your intelligence? Because even stupid people can become intelligent. uh, I remember this, there was this girl who had sung a song, Dinchak Puja. I came to know Sonu Nigam had told about it. Dinchak Puja. And suddenly she wrote some selfie song and something absolutely horrible. You know, you can't even bear her. But she got some 2 million views and she became an overnight sensation. Now she became an overnight sensation, but 99% of the people were trolling her for how bad she was. But nonetheless, she became famous. Are you able to understand and are you able to comprehend that not everything that you see or not everything which makes you famous can be good? Okay, so very, very important to understand that your Lagna, to that extent, if it is associated with, let's say, uh, a murder yoga, then there becomes a problem. Then to that level people feel that, hey, is this person a murderer? Is this person uh, uh, or there is an eye of suspicion. you know Especially we know of a politician, who was allegedly involved in the Sunanda Pushkar murder case. Lot of people feel that, probably yes, that politician is the one who has murdered. The other people might say that, hey, we don't know because there is no proof. But nonetheless, that needle of suspicion has made that politician famous or infamous. So what happens is when a malefic planet to that level, and if it is not Lagnesha, has an impact on Lagna, then to that level, your intelligence or the wrong sort of association can actually malign you. So that's a negative sort of a lagna which is operational. Especially when Saturn aspects lagna, then we say that you might make some big blunders in your life. Now it all depends, how the yogas are in your lagna. If there are already bad yogas in that lagna, and then if there is also Saturn aspecting, that what happens is that blunder might actually become a huge sort of a big disaster for you, and you might have a jail term, or there you might lose every bit that you had. You might lose a lot of money. You might lose a lot of your integrity, everything, your career, everything. Okay, so very very important for you to understand and always tick mark planets which have an association with Lagnesh, as well as planets aspecting Lagna. It's very important. Are we clear? And then the purpose of life, the sun is Karaka. It is also your present. Okay, we all know that there is a concept called as trine. Okay, which is your houses 1, 5 and 9 are called as the trinal houses, and the houses 1, 5, 9 from every house is called a trine from that house. Okay, in generally in Jyotish we say that the trine houses are associated with Lakshmi, so they are the houses of wealth as well. Now, what happens is your Lagna is your present, whether your fifth house is your future, and the ninth house is your past. Hence, that is the cycle which is always going around, and that is the reason why your ninth house is your father, the Lagna is you, and the fifth house is your kids, right? Your past, present, and the future. Hence, the Lord of these three houses becomes so important. Okay, so this is how you are supposed to look at it. Planets, let's say, let me give you a few more tips. The planets which are coming to your Lagna are the pressure areas. Okay, for example, everybody knows the houses, right? In the bonus section, you can check. I've talked about the horoscope, houses, signs, etc. You know, so for example, let's say somebody might have seventh lord. So this is called as the seventh house. Let's say if somebody is Aries Lagna and seventh lord Venus is in Lagna. So what happens is seventh house is the house of partner, spouse, finance, etc. And if the seventh lord is in Lagna, then to that level, the partner might be a dominating partner, or the seventh house is on the head. So person is always thinking about the partner, or a person is always thinking about money, or person is always thinking about sex, maybe. Okay. So third and seventh lord to that level become very important. Now, depending on the other yogas, we can understand, say, 10th Lord is in Lagna, then a person is always thinking about work. Why? Because the 10th house is the house of work. Let's say the second house, second Lord is in Lagna, then to that level, the person is thinking about the family or food at all times. Okay. It also means that to that level, those people are expecting things from the person. So, seventh Lord is in Lagna, then the partner is also expecting a lot from you. If 10th lord is in Lagna, then there is a huge expectation at work. you know if fourth lord is in Lagna, your mother or your motherland is expecting things from you. So what does it mean when there are too many planets in the Lagna? To that level, you have an ability to give, or at least people are expecting a lot of things from you. And whom do we expect a lot of things from? It is ideally a king. So when you have too many planets in the Lagna, then there is a high possibility that you will reach the pinnacle of your profession, because by some reason God has decided that a lot of people will expect from you. So you better end up giving it to them, because that is your karma of your life. You understand? I'm giving you a completely different paradigm shift to the normal thought process which you have been having. Whereas where your Lagna Lord is going is the people whom you expect from. For example, let's say in the reverse example, if Lagna Lord, let's say if it is Aries ascendant and Lagna Lord Mars is in the seventh house, then you are the one who is expecting a lot from your spouse. You are the one who can be a dominating person, or you are the one who is constantly sort of on the head of your partner. In that case, we can ask your spouse that, do you feel that your husband or your wife is literally on your head, or expecting a lot? and you will get the normal answer that, oh my goodness, Karthik, wherever I go, I have to tell him, he's so insecure about me, and he does this, he does that, and the whole Pandora's box will start. Why? Because it's the Agni. Wherever your Lagna Lord is going, it's like the Agni going to that house. The planets that are coming to the Lagna are other people's expectations from you. Where Lagna Lord is going is the expectations that you have from others. Are we clear? So I've given you sort of a fair understanding, in terms of how to understand the Lagna. Very important. Okay. And hence I always tell people that rectification is so important. Sometimes, you have a border in Lagna in border. And a lot of times, most astrologers, they go by the time that you give to them. But it is so important to understand whether you have the right time or no. So think about it, whether you have the right horoscope or you have been actually giving the wrong horoscope throughout your life. Okay. The second house is what we will talk about, which is called as the Dhana Bhava. Dhana, loosely we can say, is wealth. Okay. But what is wealth when the rishis wrote about it? So second house is also your Kutumba Bhava. Okay. It is associated with your lineage. It is associated with your Gotra. A lot of people might be aware about their Gotra, like I am Gautam Gotra. A lot of people, my Gurudev is Atri Gotra. A lot of you might be different Gotra. And sometimes when you don't know what is your lineage, then you pick up the lineage of Saturn and Surya, which is Kashyapa. So while you do a puja, you must have all seen the Pandit will always ask you that, hey, what is the Gotra? Or even if you outsource your pujas to somebody else, that person should always ask you that, hey, what is your Gotra? Without which your pujas can never be done. So what I mean to say is when the rishis wrote that the second house is your Dhanabhava, the important thing is that your family is your wealth, the food is your wealth. And in olden days, if you read Mahabharata or any of the Krishna Leelas, why was Sri Krishna and his family considered very rich in Gokul? Because they had lot of cows, or what we call it as Pashudhana or cattle wealth. So in those days, your cattle or the amount of cow you have, or the amount of milk you can produce, or the amount of food that is there in your house was the barometer of how wealthy you are, or how well you are connected with your family. Are you all living together? Do you all have dinner together? It is more like a Suraj Badjatiya film, right? Where he is actually making you understand that this second house of wealth is actually family staying together. Hum saath saath hai types. You know, Vasudeva Kutumbakam. The whole world is my family. And that is the second house. We as astrologers, frankly, have made that into very sort of a house where we only see money. No, this is the higher concept of wealth. Your profits and losses and pure sort of a money we can look from 11th house also. That is the house of gains. But second house of wealth is much more than pure, $50,000 in the account or $10 in account. It is beyond that. There are many poor people who are very rich, because they have a bigger ability to give rather than a lot of rich people who can't even give a donation of $100. Okay, so it is very important. Here I put as food, because it is very important, because second house, as per the body parts, it is associated with your mouth. Yeah, we talked about Lagna broadly as our intelligence. Okay, and hence that your head part of it, or the top part of it, or generally your face at a very high level, is associated with your name, fame. But when we break it down, the second house of food, speech, hence everything is associated with the second house. For somebody who is a speaker, or somebody who's a TEDx speaker, or somebody who has a career associated with speaking profession, has to have a good Mercury or a good conjunction of second from Mercury happening for other people to actually like your voice. This is one compliment I have received so many times, that Karthik, we love listening to when you talk. Why does that happen? Because I have Mercury in the second house, which is the house of speech. And then, second from Mercury, I've got my Atmakaraka and Chandra associated with it. So, Chandra is all about a very smooth, soothing, calming voice, right? So, people, when they speak or when they listen to me, they feel that, hey, this guy has a very soothing voice, very calm voice. And to that level, I have an Atmakaraka association as well. So, to that level, I have an ability to influence a lot of people as well. So, likewise, I want you to understand simple rules of houses and try and apply in the charts that you see. Currently, I would advise that, let's say Shri Ram, let's say Shri Krishna, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Swami Vivekananda, those spiritual charts is something that you need to start looking at. But probably at the end of the week, I'll give you more charts to work on. I'll give one of the days, I'll sort of list out all those charts, give you, so you can draw it and keep it with you. So whenever you are learning, you can, when you are making your notes, you can also attach to those horoscopes, write down your own references, which I used to do while I started learning Jyotish. Okay, so that is very important. It is also a house associated with kutumba or family, as I said, your lineage. And if you don't know your lineage, then there is a specific way to find out. But generally you can say Kashyapa Gotra. So let's say if you are somebody who doesn't know and tomorrow you are going to do a Rudra Abhishek, then if the Panditji asks what is your Gotra, you don't know, then you can say my Gotra is Kashyapa. And that Kashyap Gotra is associated with Shani. And we say that, we are all born because of Shani, because of our sins. So we take the Gotra of Shani as our birth Gotra. Okay, that is very important. It is also speech, and it's a very important house for marketing also. Okay, you have to always understand that a good marketeer is somebody who can speak. If he can't speak, then frankly speaking, why is he into marketing? Okay, so that external influence, the ability to sort of talk to a client is very important. And if you don't have a planet there, that doesn't mean that you can't speak. It only means that you have to focus on the second lord. Okay, and aspects on the second house. Okay, so that is very important. Okay, the Karaka house is Jupiter. We are going to talk about it in length later on, so I'm not going to sort of talk about it, but it is important to understand that it is also a Maraka house. Maraka means a house which can inflict death. Okay, and why do people generally die? All the doctors in the forum will accept that the problem is our food habits, right? In olden days, we always think of our olden days, right? That we used to eat so much of it. Hey, I used to have a lot of sweets, I used to have a lot of ghee, I used to eat so much, but I used to never put on weight. So what has happened is, over the period of time, probably the quality of food has deteriorated. The same ghee which was very very, very pure is no longer pure. The ways we are making the milk is now completely wrong. And there is so much of enzyme, so much of injections they give to the cow, and the whole process is so painful even for the cows, that sometimes you feel that even consuming milk is, I don't know, in today's time unsafe. Because there are so many external factors. The more and more the factory started, the more and more they add an additional vitamin D, additional vitamin this, vitamin that. Milk by itself was very pure. Nobody had this concept of lactose intolerance and all these things. I don't remember in my initial days I had heard about it. How can you have a problem drinking milk? But unfortunately, with the advent of Kali Yuga, people have started having a problem even with milk. And the new term is, hey, Karthik, this is called lactose intolerance. Okay, fantastic. We know the Kali Yuga has started, right? Because the milk itself is being contaminated, and a person is not able to accept milk in the body itself. So there is a Chandra dosha to that level, we can say, right? So you can start thinking in those terms. Okay, so it is very important. And it is also an ultimate giver of your wealth, which is the Dhanakaraka. And as I told you, the whole concept of your family being your wealth, the whole concept of food being wealth. Okay, see, lot of times, and more importantly health, because you ultimately die because of wrong consumption of food, right? You eat everything out of fridge, you put on weight. Once you put on weight, then you put on diabetes. You eat those cakes which are on the shelf for a week, 10 days, with tons and tons of sugar. You have that with a, probably Coke, etc., and then another 1 kg of sugar into it. Finally you end up having diabetes, you know and then you want to have a little bit of burger. You want burger with fried things, and then you have your cholesterol. you know so everything starts from the second house. And hence we say that, hey, if we can have a good sort of a sattvic bhojana, or if we can have food which is sort of organic or something which is very pure, or if we can control our food habits, then to that level our longevity is going to increase, or at least to whatever level we are going to live, we are going to be fine. So isn't that itself wealth? In today's time, especially, everybody is going to agree that your health is wealth, right? So, like that, I want you all to think a little more in terms of how can we drill down this concept even further. Okay, and you can write down 50 other things related to it. Sort of professions related to second house. You can start writing professions related to lagna, professions related to the second house. That is the professions from the houses. Then you can write professions related to the planets as well. Professions related to the sun, professions related to the moon, all those things. And so that is how you actually grow, right? You need to grow over a period of time, and you need to put a little pressure on the brain, so it is expanding every day. Okay. The third house, it's a very, very important house, especially in today's time, right? Because it is the house of Parakrama. Parakrama in English means uh, the ability to fight back. You know, uh, when we look at the entrepreneurial abilities, or whenever I look at charts of entrepreneurs or people who want to actually become or want to start doing business or something to start off their own, for me, this house becomes a pivotal house, because the reason I already told you when I talked about Mars or Mangal in the Navagrahas chapter, because it is your ability to bounce back, you know. And then the third house to that level becomes very important, because it is your ability to fight. Hence, the Mangal is the Karaka. Mars is the Karaka for the third house, because it says that, hey, I have my arms. Your arms are associated with the third house as well. So, with that arms, you can either write, hence, the writing is also associated with the third house, or you can also fight, hence, the sword or the fighting abilities is also associated with the third house. So, whether the pen is mightier than the sword or no is seen from what planets are afflicting your third house. So based on that, you will have a thought process whether you are somebody who is a calmer person and believes in the ability to write, and feels that, hey, violence is not a good sort of a way to deal with situations, or you will feel that, hey, violence is a legitimate way to bring peace in the world. Sometimes you have to slap a person to say shut up. Now that is how a Mangal thinks, and that is how a army general talks, right? If you see an army general, he is not going to do Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya 12 times. No, he will not. He is going to say that till that time, I'm going to ensure that my rifle is working properly. So the moment I see my enemy, I can shoot in the head, point blank. So both things are associated with the third house. More importantly, you have to understand that it is your ability to think positively in a negative situation. And hence the third house is also associated with a yoga called as Dhimanta Yoga. Hence, when Lagna Lord is in the third house, when Lagna Lord is in the fifth house, or when Lagna Lord is in the sixth house, in these three houses, a person is said to be a very, very intelligent person. Why? Because that person cannot just be put down. He might be down, but he cannot be out. And that's where this third house becomes so important. People can, sometimes it happens, right? With Jyotish, people don't look at us very kindly. Sometimes people feel that it's a regressive sort of a profession, or why would you talk about Jyotish, astrology, all these things. So imagine you as an astrologer are a very fickle minded person. You will get into depression and you will feel that, oh my goodness, what are other people saying? rather than a guy like me who has got a Lagna Lord in the third house. And I would say that, bad luck, they never saw a guru, or bad luck, they never saw such a knowledge. So it is their problem, not mine. You understand how the mental ability has shifted from a person A to a person B. So even in the worst of situation, I can be down, but that is not a possibility that I'll be out. The same way, the third house becomes a very important house because it is your ability to stick. And for a Jyotishi, it is your ability to stick with your clients or people who are going through bad phases. Because 99% of the time, people are going to come to you when they are going through a rough time and not when everything is fine, right? So if you are going to be an astrologer who is going to be with them in their good period and not during their bad period, then frankly speaking, it's not a good sort of a character that you show. I've heard about complaints where people say that, hey, I went to that astrologer, but when my things were fine, he used to pick up my call or talk to me so nicely. Now, since I have this problem, the guy doesn't even talk to me or doesn't want to be associated with me, which is not correct, right? So now I'm giving you a completely different perspective in terms of how to think about the third house. So if you're in a profession where you have to stick with your clients, you know let's say if you are a financial advisor as well, if uh, if you are, let's say, a financial planner or insurance agent, then what happens is in this current period, a lot of financial advisors are going through a problem because their clients are going through problem and they are not able to pay probably their EMIs, or they are saying that, hey, I want to take the funds a little earlier, or I want to cancel my FD, or whatever it is. So at those times, if you don't be fair to your client, don't work with them, then it's going to be a big problem, right? For me as an astrologer in today's time, some of my clients actually go through panic stages, and rather than having a session with me once in a month, my retainer clients will talk to me probably every day, sometimes 5 times a week, sometimes 3 times in a day. And it becomes my dharma to stand with them in this tough time. And that is your third house. Are you able to stand by? Because deep inside you are very strong. And because you are very strong, no problem is big enough to actually break you down. And that is what makes you a Raj Jyotish. When you are a category above the normal sort of astrologers, then technically you are a Raj Jyotish. Because why? You have a very strong mind. Tomorrow a president can call you, tomorrow a prime minister can call you and tell me and ask you that, hey, do I go for a war, or what do you feel, or shall I wait, or do I do this, or do I do that? In those cases, you shouldn't be afraid. And that is the ability of the third house. Third house is your writing skills as well, right? So if there is a, let's say, a malefic, too much of malefic influence on the third house, then a person can be a little rough on an email, or a rough on a WhatsApp thing, or sometime, or let us put it that way, the person might have a problem with communication. For no reason they get into fight. Sometimes they didn't intend to write something, but unfortunately they wrote something, and then that becomes a huge problem, and they sit and think, oh my goodness, why did I react so fast? So third house is also your, to that extent you can create a conflict. So third house has to be understood in the good and the bad houses also, because it is also part of an upachaya houses. Okay, the house of growth. When you use it the right way, you will grow. When you use it the wrong way or abuse it, then technically that is the house where you can go for a fall as well. Not everything is worth fighting, and that is a golden rule I have learned over a period of time. It is high time you learn it as well. Even the great Lord Krishna, what did he do? Why is he called Ranchodji? He is called Ranchodji because he understood that, hey, I have married today, and her parents are coming behind, and if I stop my chariot and fight, and then the poor guy is going to be killed. And is this the wedding gift that I want to give it to my wife? Absolutely no. So what do? I shall run away rather than fighting with my father-in-law and killing him on the first day itself. And he said, and he actually gave the principle of life that everything is not worth fighting, especially when they are your own people. Sometimes it is okay to take the blame. Sometimes it is okay to be called something for the higher purpose. So you need to have the higher purpose sometimes in life, and you need to look at the smaller things. Sometimes you have to lose a fight to win the battle, or lose a battle to win the war, so to say. Right? So third house to that level, especially for entrepreneurs, even in today's time, it becomes very important. Also, one more thing I'll tell you, that the third house is also your short leave or vacation. Okay, so generally I always plan to take a break when sun is transiting my third house. I'm giving you a great tip. So when the sun is transiting your third house, the sign which is there in the third house, whatever is your horoscope, technically you can take a break during that period also, because that is your short leave, whereas your long leave or your retirement is in the eighth house. Okay, and the eighth, from the eighth is the third house. So third house is your short leave, eighth house is your retirement or your long leave. Okay, so that is very important. So if somebody might ask me what is a sabbatical, if I need to take a short sort of a thing, it is still in the third house, provided you are getting into the same profession. But let's say I was a project manager and then I become a astrologer full time, then that is not a sabbatical, it's a complete change of profession. That is seen differently. Okay, so I've given you a very very nice tip related to even planning your vacation. Okay, now coming to the fourth house. See, fourth house is a very important house because it is your ultimate happiness. you know uh, there is a difference between they say, uh, there is something called as fulfillment, ultimate bliss, or difference between happiness and khushi, you know or khushi, and there is a specific word actually which doesn't come to my mind right now, but it technically is something like bliss, something which doesn't come from just buying a costly pen or something. But sometimes, we go to these villages, and we get that smell of the first rain, and the mud smells are very very different, and a beautiful smell comes. That happens when it is the first rain. Those of you who have traveled into India, or I'm sure other places, will agree to me that that gives you so much of happiness. you know it gives you like, wow, it's a different type of an anand, what we call, and that money cannot buy. The smaller things of, in my growing up times, when I used to grow to my village, we used to sleep on those small cots, khatia, under the sun, in the outside, so we'll sleep there by 8 o'clock, and by 5:36 the sun will be there, and we as a small kid used to put our things on our head, and, oh, let me sleep for 30 minutes more and all. But those are the beautiful memories which money can't buy. And that is the concept of, what money can buy, which is more of the possessions that you have, rather than the smaller things which you give you happiness. So the fourth house, in a very very basic Jyotish, we can say is associated with your mother, which is your matri house. But at a very higher way, you can say that, hey, what is your mother at the end of the day? So it is your motherland as well. So the fourth house is also your relationship to your mother and your relationship to your motherland. Okay, that is very very important for you to understand. It is, in Sanskrit we say that sarva sukha matripade, sarva dharma pitripade, which technically means that, all the happiness is something which is at the feet of my mother, and all the dharma, or the general understanding of what dharma is at the feet of my father or my guru. It is the ninth house. Okay, so ninth house, or sorry, fourth house is generally going to tell us what gives you happiness or what makes you sad. If you have a malefic in the fourth house, to that level, you are going to struggle or you are not happy, at least in your homeland. We talked about it before in one of the videos, right? So if I have a Badaka in the fourth house or Sri Ram had Shani in the fourth house, he did have a problem or he did carry the curse of mother, and it was his stepmother who actually stopped the coronation of Sri Ram, and he was asked to leave his homeland, which was Ayodhya, and be in exile for 14 years. So to that level, can we say that Sri Ram actually had sukha in his life? Answer is no. But does it mean that he wasted his life? Absolutely no. Why? Because that the same Saturn actually helped him that, hey, your Raj Yogas are not in the home country. Your Raj Yogas, or the way people will remember you, or the way people will associate you with your Aruda Lagna, is probably in a foreign land, or you need to be kicked out of your homeland to ensure that people understand what Sri Ram is made of. So I'm giving you both understandings. So if somebody has got benefit, then definitely they generally have a good life, and they like good things in life. They have a beautiful car, they have a beautiful home, and everything you can see from the fourth house and the fourth lord. It generally means your comfort with every sort of thing, what makes you happy, what makes you sad. And the fourth house I've written here, is it marriage? See, marriage is in the seventh house, right? Everybody understands that. But I will give you a tip that the fourth house becomes very important for what you like in your spouse, for a male horoscope. Okay, for a male horoscope, let's say if a person has got fourth house moon, then you should ask that person, hey, does your wife cook very well? And the answer will be yes. Or their perspective about their wife is she should be a nice calm person and she should cook well, or food is very important for that person in that relationship quadrant. Whereas for female, it is the opposite. It is the 10th house which makes very important. So the planets in the 10th house is very important. So if a female horoscope has got too many planets in the 10th house, the problem with relationship or she not getting married is obvious, because she is looking at a lot of things in the husband. Oh, he should be good looking, he should be rich, he should have integrity, his mother should be dead and gone, he should have no father, all these things. So wish list is so huge because the planets are there in the 10th house. And even after she gets married, there is a problem with the husband at all time, because she is always, that checklist is always there. The same with a male chart, if he has got too many planets in the fourth house. So you understand that Sukhasthana is something, what gives you that ultimate bliss, ultimate happiness, and it is associated with your chest area, right? So we call it as heart area. या आपके दिल में क्या है? What is in your heart? What does your heart like? When does your heart beat? What sort of music do I like? you know for me, music is very important. Why? Because that sort of makes my heart beat. So my morning has to start from singing, and because it is Shani, it has to be a little traditional song. So I'll start with my Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. I'll sing something, and then I'll probably listen to some other music. I can go to Jagjit Singh, which is more of a sad songs, little meaningful songs. Gulzar Saab, I can get into that poetry mode completely. Or I'll go to Elton John, those things. What I mean to say is, what gives you happiness is also seen from the fourth house. If you have a lot of those royal signs, then for a car, you don't need a normal car. It has to be a German car. It has to be a four-wheel drive. It has to have at least be, half a million. Otherwise, it's not good enough car. Whereas somebody like me would say that, hey, okay, car is just a vehicle. It takes me from a spot A to B. But for somebody else, it is not just a thing. It is quite a status symbol. Hence, I need to have this car, I need to have that car. When I drive and come out of the car, 50 people should feel very, very important. So what am I saying? Are we both wrong? The answer is no. We are all playing to our own horoscope. So depending on what is there as an association to the fourth house is what you like and what you feel is important or what gives you happiness. Okay. So very important. Moon and Venus are the Karaka, and the body part is chest. Moon and Venus, we talked about the other day, they are both Jala planets. They are emotional planets. So I always say that the Moon and Venus, ideally in the fourth house, is superb. Why? Because you can't be a very, very stone hearted person. And that is sometimes a problem when malefics are there in the fourth house, right? A person can become very practical, very logical, without understanding the emotional quotient which should be associated. And sometimes we take decisions based on emotional basis rather than logical basis. When there is too much of jala in the fourth house, then those are the people who take everything based on emotional basis and not on logical basis. Oh, why did you take this car? You can't afford it. Oh, my wife liked it very much. Arey, your wife might like even Bill Gates' house, but you can't afford it. You have to tell her. No, actually, I can't say no to her. I love my wife a lot. Okay, logical. You know, that is what I mean to say. So ideally, we want a balance of both. Okay, but nonetheless, emotional planets are good over there because in life we need a little emotion as well. Everything can't be pure math. Everything can't be a number game, so to say. So through that level, it is good. Fourth house is also your properties because it is the house in which you stay. Okay, and hence the planet in the fourth house is going to show you your home background, home environment. If it is a benefic planet, then your childhood, etc., can be fantastic. If it's a malefic planet to that level, your childhood could be a little tough. If there is a Mars in the fourth house, then to that level, your mother might be very strict. You see any horoscope with Mangal in the fourth house, you will see that the mother is very strict, or because Mangal rules that boundary, right? So generally in a female's chart, it will be like, oh, my mother was like, okay, beyond 7 o'clock, if you don't reach home, then you will have a problem. One day I reached at 8 o'clock. My mother didn't even open the door for 1 hour. She told me to stand outside. Oh, you see a Mangal in the fourth house, right? So very important. You have to understand it from that perspective, that how important the fourth house is, because it is your heart. No, deep inside, are you a sad person? Deep inside, do you have a little sorrow? An ability to deal with sorrow is a different ball game altogether. you know but do you have a sorrow or no is also seen from the fourth house per se. Okay, fifth house, I've talked, the father and the son are there together, or the father and the child are together. It is generally called as putra bhava. Okay, why? Because it is your future, right? We talked about it previously, where the lagna is you, the ninth house is your father. So the father's son is you, right? Which is the fifth from there, and your son is fifth there from, which is the fifth house, and hence your putra bhava. It is the house of our speculation. More importantly, I will say it is also house of our insecurities, right? We are all insecure because of our fifth house. Let us accept that fact of life. We are all insecure because we don't know what will happen tomorrow. We are all insecure because we want to have a very secure future. And 90% of insurance companies and financial planners, they all are able to be acceptable, or they are all successful because they are selling us the fifth house. If you take this policy, then in after 20 years you will get this much money. So we think that, hey, 20 years I'll be 60 years old. Okay, fair enough. If at that point of time, if I get this $50,000, it will help me. Then they'll say, no, you have not taken inflation into consideration. So if you take inflation into consideration, sir, you should take actually a bigger policy, because by that time $50,000 will have no value. You minimum need $150,000 to ensure that you would have a lifestyle. Okay, okay. So what is happening is they are playing with our fifth house, or rather, we are engaging our fifth house while we are taking that decision. Or for example, when we have a child, we want our child to go to a good school. We want him to go to a good university. We want to have a good sort of an education. So we feel that when we grow old and when we retire, probably our son or daughter will take care of us, or at least he or she won't ask money from us because we have given him a good sort of an education and we have a secured future. But that same secured future also makes us insecure, that oh, my daughter doesn't talk to me, oh, my son doesn't talk to me, I'm having sleepless night, what do I do? My job is a little bit insecure, will I lose my job? If I lose my job, I like pay my EMIs, oh, I have a problem. All that is because of the fifth house, and hence fifth house is such an important house, especially because it is your inner insecurities, right? It is your innermost insecurity, and that is the problem. And because you are gambling with the fifth house at all times, that hey, I have this much money left, I'm going to invest in my child's education, god willing he will help me. So that's a gamble that a father has taken on the son. Today I am taking a gamble on you all who are learning it, that hopefully you all will learn it and put the knowledge to good use. Hence, the fifth house is also your children, but for a guru, the fifth house is also your students. Tomorrow, when you start teaching, your students will be in your fifth house. You understand? So, this is how you have to start thinking as well. Fifth house is also your kids in a male horoscope. Okay, you have to understand that these are all finer details which you need to know. That in a male horoscope, the fifth house is for kids. For a female horoscope, the ninth house is for the kids. Okay, because male and female to that level think a little different. Okay, for a male, the child is more like a legacy thing. That oh, if I have a child, then I'll do this thing. He will take care of my business and this, that, everything to do with inheritance, so to say, or taking the legacy ahead, or taking the pitris ahead. Whereas for female, they take it more as a dharma, that hey, if I'm married and if I'm sort of a woman, then technically I'm supposed to give a child to my husband, I'm supposed to have a child. And it is more of a dharma than more of a planning thing, and more of an emotion involved. Where for a male it is more of an aruda involved, more of a planning thing involved, more of a thing which is associated with it. It is also associated with the love affairs. So if fifth lord and seventh lord are conjoined, then technically you can be associated, or you can have a love affair and then get married, or after marriage you can have an affair. Okay, those things are little advanced, but as a body part it is associated with belly. So what does a belly mean? It technically means digestion of food. It means digestion of knowledge. So all that you consume in your lagna is being digested in the fifth house. Hence the natural fifth house is Leo, which is Surya. So nobody can consume, and to consume you need that high Agni of Surya. And that is the reason why Leo is the natural fifth house and it is ruled by Sun. Okay, Guru is the Karaka, and we'll be talking about it later, but it is important. See, you see that Jupiter is such an important planet, because right from food to right to kids, it is giving you almost everything. Okay, and very, very important house, especially for an astrologer, because we astrologers deal with people's fifth house, right? People come to astrologers because of the fifth house. Hence, I always say that a Rudraksh is something which is so important for an every astrologer, because it is associated with the fifth house. Hence, if you don't have money, then at least wear a five-mukhi Rudraksh. Or there are specific ways by which you can know the mukhi of the Rudraksh which you are supposed to wear. But that's again a consultation thing. But generally, as a layman, or a one size fits all sort of a thing, you can wear a five-mukhi Rudraksh. Okay, and everybody I think knows what is a Rudraksh, right? So this is called as a Rudraksh which I'm wearing, and you have to make it in gold ideally, because that is the seat. Then you can wear it either in a gold chain. I don't like a gold chain, so I wear it in a normal sort of a thread. Okay, so that is something which is very important for a Jyotishi as well. The sixth house, I've written as, sorry, I've forgotten to change this, but it is Ripu Bhava. Okay, or it is associated with the power to punish. Okay, and it is a problematic house. At the same time, it is an upachaya house. So there is a good and the bad both which is happening in the sixth house of Ripu. It is also the house of enemies and uncles. Okay, so do we say that the uncles are enemies? Well, the root of the problem is already mentioned in the horoscopes. So generally, wherever your sixth lord goes, or whatever is your sixth lord, then to that level, that person or that bhava is activating the enemies. At the same time, it is also the house of Upachaya. Upachaya is house of growth. We talked about the third house. We are talking now about the sixth house. See, because the sixth house is the house of your service, right? It is the house of your work. And generally, when you start working, you start making money. When you start making money, you are in a way intruding into somebody else's sort of a placement, or you are intruding into somebody's place. So that person starts behaving with you a little strange, considers you as an enemy. And that is where, because you are growing, it is like that Onida TV, right? Neighbors envy, owners pride. So once you are growing, automatically people sort of don't like you, or because so many people like you, few people don't like you. And it is all because there is a growth that is there happening in your area of life. And that same growth, which is the sixth house, also starts giving you your shadripus. Shadripus means all the bad habits. And generally you see all these people who are let's say into advertising, film and all, uh, none of them were smoking before, none of them were doing drugs, none of them were like alcoholic or drinking so much. Suddenly they join a particular sort of a job, and it's like a peer pressure or the requirement of a job. They suddenly become chain smokers. On a weekend or once a year they need to go and have drugs, and they completely make a mess of their life. But then that is all associated with that upachaya. So they are growing. Suddenly somebody who was, let's say, earning $50 has suddenly started making $5,000. So there is that huge amount of money which a young guy has started off with, and he doesn't know what to do with it. So that young professional has suddenly started with upachayas, and then the shadripus come in, started drinking, started sleeping around, going to the discos, clubs, picking up guys and girls. And that is all associated with your sixth house. And let me tell you one more secret, that the sixth house is the house from where Brahma has created you. Because without a Shadripu, it is impossible for you to be created. And hence, Shani is the Karaka for the sixth house. So, Saturn smartly, when you are growing, puts a Shadripu in your life. And then that Shadripu ensures that you end up sinning. And then those sins become so much that Brahma gets a chance to create you. So you understand that the sixth house is a double-edged sword. So we have to it's like we have to walk a very very tight path. If you use the sixth house very very smartly, you are going to be a fantastic entrepreneur, and you can actually make strategies based on sixth house, because it is the house of growth. But let's say if you falter, then for no reason you are unnecessarily creating enemies, and then what happens is you are creating conflicts. Things which could have easily solved over a phone call or a cup of coffee has reached a stage where you are now fighting in the courts, and you are spending so much of money for the lawyers, etc., etc., etc. So this whole situation is that the root karma from where Brahma has created you is your sixth house. Hence, to a lot of level, your Nabhi, which is your umbilical cord, was associated with your sixth house. So your sixth house is going to tell you what was your root karma apart from your Atma Karaka. Okay, so we have to be very, very clear. Sixth house generally is your sign called Virgo. Virgo is the purest sign. Hence, it is associated with Virgin Mary. Do you know that? The sixth house or Virgo is associated with Virgin Mary, and hence it is the sixth house is the house of celibacy, and 12th house, the house opposite to it, is your bedroom. And Shukra is exalted over there in Meena Rashi, but is completely debilitated NMKS in the sixth house, or in Virgo. So it is very important for us to understand that these houses give you the simple concept of exaltation and debility as well. And we need to understand it very calmly based on our horoscope that, hey, what are the areas where we can stretch our luck and which are the areas where we shouldn't stretch our luck, simply put, right? So I want you all to sort of make notes of this. They are also associated with our panchamakaras, etc. These are all little advanced topics. Surely I'll teach you at some point of time. But what I want you to understand is that first and foremost, this is not Putra Bhava. This is called as Ripu Bhava. Okay, or Shashtesh is your sixth lord. So sixth house is also the house of your punishment, and there is a specific sutra which is given by Maharishi Jaimini, which says that Tano Tane Dandahara, which means that sixth house and the sixth from the sixth, which is the 11th house, are the house of Danda and Hara. A house where nobody can save you because there are no aspects on the sixth and 11th house. When we teach the aspects, I'll be able to give you more understanding into it. But it is very important to understand that these two houses are extremely important houses, and these are the areas from where you can actually create so many sins, and you will get the beating out of your life, and nobody will be there to take care of you. Why? Because there is no aspect of any planets which is sixth house and 11th house from itself. So what I mean to say is, grow but have a strategy for growth. Prosper but have a strategy for prosperity. you know no doubt there might be people who might be jealous of you, etc. That is the normal norm. But as long as you are not rubbing them the wrong way, and you are not unnecessarily creating conflicts and sins by which Brahma can recreate you, I think you are doing a pretty good job. Okay, so with this we will stop the part 1 of the video, and we will take this up in the second part, and where we will talk about all the other houses from the 7th to the 12th house. Okay, thank you so much. Thanks for your time. Namaskar. Hello, beautiful souls, and thank you so much for visiting my channel. As you see, it is a Vedic astrology channel, but at the same time, the delivery is very modern. The only reason is I come from a background which is a very logical background, and myself being an engineer and having worked with corporates, I truly understand that in today's time we don't need to preach, but we need to give a knowledge which is tangible and at the same time applicable in today's fast and modern age. We churn out a content which is of great use, and more importantly, something that can benefit you in your day-to-day decision making. To ensure you don't miss out on those content, ensure to subscribe to our channel and click on the bell icon, so whenever we premiere a video or whenever there is a special webinar which is happening, you'll be the first ones to know. Look forward, and this is a journey which we all have to together ensure that we do well. So do subscribe to the channel, and there are links below to ensure that you can stay in touch with us via our social media platforms as well. I highly encourage you to look at our other videos, especially the various conferences we have done, to get a knack of the level at which we teach and learn.